All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Travel. This is episode number 61, and I guess we're recording it on Saturday, January 9th. And
We're a little bit behind, but we should
uh,
catch up
yeah,
by
yeah,
this week, by
yeah,
next week.
we'll definitely be able to catch up. But at least we have two episodes, so we can load those two episodes
Yeah.
up, two new episodes.
And these are really late December topics
Yeah,
rather than early January, but some of them are fairly recent.
yeah, yeah. So for the next episode,
So,
we're just going to jump ahead and we're just going to pick up news that's happening.
yeah.
I guess current. We've haven't missed a week or two, but it's not too bad. Aviation industry is a little slow these days anyway, although every day something weird happens. So what's the background you have, Cushrow? What you got there?
I have an Air Tahiti Nui 789 landing somewhere or the other.
Somewhere or other. That's funny, Cushrow. What's interesting with these is that I'm still amazed that those 789s fly across the Pacific every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, this is the one that used to stop in, is it stopping in Canada
Vancouver.
now? It
Yeah.
says doing Vancouver on its way to the US,
Yeah.
because we still haven't opened up.
No, on its way to Tahiti and France,
Well,
Paris.
right. Well, yeah. I mean, okay. So it's still bypassing the US.
Los Angeles. Right. That is
That's
correct.
interesting. Wow, bizarre.
But United is flying them to Sydney, right? From the West Coast.
Are airlines still flying to Sydney, or did they stop
Mm-hmm.
that?
No, but a lot of them are cargo, and you're limited to like 20 passengers or something like that.
So
Last I knew.
so it's basically all cargo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. One of the things
Boeing's
that,
bread and butter right now.
yeah,
787.
hopefully they'll get their act together and stop having issues. And the photo I have today is Berlin. It's a different part of Berlin. I can't even tell you exactly where it is now, but it's along the River Spree. So I think it's Spree, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever take one of those uh, boats that give you a river tour of Berlin, it doesn't go down here, but it goes very close to here. And it's just a different part of the city that I was walking through one day. I'm like, oh, that'll make a really great photo. Um, all right, so that's my little Berlin thing. Where I was trying to bring you some, different, I guess, different parts of the world or airplanes as we go along. All right, let's jump right in. Today, the first news, we're going to talk about aircraft today. And speaking of Boeing, what is going on with the 777X program?
This was an article, and I really wanted to include this because it was a very well written article in Aviation Week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little disappointed to read it because it is the truth. And well, it is reality.
Yeah.
But I hate to see it being having such an impact on the 777X, which is the upgraded and updated and thoroughly modern 777 aircraft.
Hmm.
There was supposed to be two variants, the 777-9, which is the only one currently in production, and the 777-8, which is the smaller version, and the longer range version, which currently has its development frozen. These programs were launched in 2013, and this was really an editorial, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't project a very rosy outlook for this aircraft. On any very large, the VLA as they call them, the very large aircraft, because they no longer are viewed as a means for airlines to cut their unit costs. Rather, it's viewed as significant exposure to risk.
Right.
which is a long way from what was prior thinking, because they have about 350 of these 777X aircraft on order, of which 240, I believe, are from the Middle East three, which
Oh.
are Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad.
Mm-hmm.
Emirates, of course, is really cutting back on their VLA capacity, and they're tending to gravitate more towards the 350, the Airbus 350, Boeing 787 capacity type. Nevertheless, they haven't really significantly cut back on their 777X orders, but now
Right.
their first delivery is pushed to 2023. Etihad hasn't really announced plans to cancel this order, but they are now well established in going on record as saying they no longer wish to be a competitor, a very strong competitor to, let's say, Emirates and Qatar in the
Hmm.
Middle East. And then BA and Lufthansa, which are the other two other carriers, including Cathay Pacific, which are not exactly having rosy times these days, as no airline is.
Right.
So there's also an issue with the fact that so many airlines have grounded and or stored relatively young 777 aircraft. So the availability of these planes is quite cheap right now. And given that Boeing really has no competitor to the 350, the 1000, which is Airbus's largest product, the 787-10 just doesn't match the capacity and the range. And the legacy 777 aircraft just has very unfavorable economics compared to the Airbus 350. So Boeing is really caught in a sort of a difficult situation currently. They do anticipate that demand will rebound, but it's not likely to be in the very near future. In fact, they estimate that this is going to be at least 3, 4, 5, 6 years and beyond, which I think is a real shame because this aircraft is, the 777X is even more remarkable than the 777.
Right.
Not to say the 380 wasn't, but this sort of trend towards smaller planes essentially killed the 380. And I don't think it's going to impact the 777X because most of the development money has already been spent.
Right.
So the
Right.
expense in getting this type certified is going to be marginal at best. But I'm not sure about the Dash 8, which really hasn't even started production yet. So
It's kind of
that could
bizarre, huh?
become a casualty.
Yeah.
But I can also see this aircraft being a good cargo carrier to replace the 747s that will ultimately need to be replaced.
But well, wouldn't the 777F replace those?
It doesn't match the capacity of
The
a
X.
747, right?
Really?
Yes, they're doing the the 777F. Absolutely not.
Oh wow. Okay.
200, the 200 LR, right?
Yeah.
Because the 300 ER freighter conversion is still a few years off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't match the 748.
Nothing is a
So
match. Nothing is a match for the 747s, right?
right, because remember they have the ability to load this outsized cargo through the nose
Yeah.
that none of the next generation really will be able to.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting.
but no, I thought this was a very interesting article, as I said, in Aviation Week, and I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. No. That's
So,
that's that's pretty good.
because, sorry, one more thing. The combined 777-777X production rate is slowing from 5 per month currently to 2 a month in 2021. And the Airbus 350 has gone from 10 to 5, with the 330 neo from 2 to 1 a month. And they're saying even that is too high. So it really is looking rather grim for wide body production.
Yeah.
But airlines really cannot do without wide bodies in their range, despite the success of the 321 LR and XLR from Airbus.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time before the industry rebounds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because you know what I see happening is they're going to end up going to the desert and pulling these planes because
Yeah.
when people start flying again, yeah,
Yep.
you're just gonna have to go grab the planes that you parked. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see an the A380s come back.
I think that ship has sailed.
You think so? Or is it that ship has flown, Cushrow? Come on.
No, Emirates is probably one of the last carriers.
And they still have a ton of them, so
Yes.
they're
And
gonna
they're
be around
updating
for a
them.
while. Yeah.
So I think we will still see them in the air for several years.
Yeah, amazing. All right. So more Boeing news, and what are they doing with the Max again?
This, I thought, again, was a pretty good move by Boeing. This was reported in Reuters.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they have what are called global engagement pilots. And what Boeing has done is they are currently looking to hire 160 pilots to be, as they say, embedded at airlines around the world that operate the 737 MAX in a new bid to ensure that MAX aircraft have a smooth comeback after a 20-month grounding. So these people who will earn an annualized salary of about 200,000 US dollars will be on assignment at these individual carriers around the world for an average, as they expect, of about 35 days. They will act as instructors and or cockpit observers as these airlines reintroduce this aircraft back into service. Now, I think this would have been a great idea at the onset of the MAX into service,
Mm-hmm.
because it would have eliminated all these issues of pilots not knowing that they had this troublesome MCAS system that was going to override them. But regardless, Boeing has taken steps to fix its problems. And they've also established specialized teams with about 150 members supporting 5 global regions to produce documents for MAX operators to show and reassure their passengers about the safety of the this new plane. I didn't realize Boeing had this facility, but they're also going to monitor the uh, flight patterns of every 737 MAX in the world 24/7 with a new facility in Seal Beach in California, which is, I think, near Los Angeles. And talking points, as I said, for flight attendants to reassure passengers on all these 737 MAX aircraft around the world. So I think they finally decided how important this is to them, and I'm glad they're doing this.
Yeah,
So
but it's like people don't really care, Kushal.
no, I think airlines do, and Boeing cannot afford to take any
Yeah,
chances.
but the passengers don't really care. I mean,
Well, you
they just
don't
want to
know
get a
that.
cheap fare. They really just want to
Yeah,
get. They don't know
agreed,
which planes
agreed,
they're on. They have no
agreed.
idea, and the media doesn't help either.
Of
Um,
course not. Of course not.
because
So
we're talking about the Indonesia 737 that's disappeared, and they were calling it the wrong plane. Well, not calling it, but they were referring to it and including conversations about the Max in it
yeah,
too.
Because
So
most
people just
reporters
don't,
don't have a clue.
right, they have no clue. So you're trying
So
to educate someone on what a 737 MAX is. Okay, so why wouldn't you educate them on what a 787 is, or what a 777 is, or what an Airbus
because it doesn't
A350
have
is?
such a controversial background.
But nobody really cares. People are
Well,
not booking away from the
maybe so, maybe
737 when
so.
they know.
But no, I think Boeing is doing the right thing. Maybe it's an
Mm,
overkill, but it's better that way after all the negligence
I don't know.
that resulted in this
If you want to do
debacle.
something, give the money to the families. If that's what you want to do with the money.
But they are doing that already, right? In fact, we're
Yeah,
going to talk about this next week about this huge fine that Boeing has had to pay.
um, yeah, I just think it's stupid. The whole marketing thing of trying to tell. Uh, um, so what are you going to tell me about the 737? You know, why is
I
that?
guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I just think it's stupid. They're just trying to do PR stuff to clean up their mess, which
But they have to do that, right? They have such a negative
but
image right
people
now
don't
around this
really
plane. This
care.
plane.
That's the thing. I don't think people really care. People don't know what
I'm
they're what
sure in
that.
Ethiopia and Indonesia they will care, don't you think?
No, no, they
No,
never cared before. They won't care again.
but they didn't think that they had to care before.
But no, but
The
it's
plane has had this checkered reputation before. Remember
yeah,
when
but
the 787 had these issues? It really wasn't in service as widely as the Max.
well, yeah, but still no. But I mean, people get on planes and they have no idea. Even with this one, people got on the Max and they had no idea they were in the Max,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh,
that's
okay,
exactly how it should be, at
yeah.
least for Boeing right now.
But you're telling me that I'm on a Max isn't gonna let me feel more confident.
Okay, remember one thing I should have mentioned also is that this is going to cost an additional, well, it's going to cost 32 million US dollars,
Yeah,
which is really a drop in the bucket
still
compared
away.
to the 20 billion that Boeing is shouldering based on the grounding.
Yeah, but that million is a waste of money, Cushrow.
So, well, at least they're doing it. I think it's a good move.
I don't think it's necessary to do that, especially since
You
it
mean the pilots or the
no, whatever money they're
PR?
spending to do the
Okay,
PR and stuff like that, I don't think it's
that
worth
may
it.
not be as expensive, but for 30 people on average per global region is really not that much when you think about it, right?
Yeah, it's.
So
I guess they will just want to be seen that they're doing something.
exactly,
Hmm,
exactly.
stupid. That's just what I think about.
Okay, I can say I'm not going to change
Uh,
your mind.
no, I don't. Yeah, no, and only because I don't think it is really gonna make people fly the airplane. People are just gonna book it because it's cheap and
Yeah.
their schedule fits whatever they're doing, you know, if they're business. Um, and it'll just be another airplane. And it's not like it's not like the airlines are gonna put something a little big asterisk and say, hey, you're flying on a Boeing 737 Max. Why don't you find out about the Boeing 737 Max? They're never gonna do that. It's just gonna say 73 whatever, what's it, 7M7? And people go,
7M,
yeah.
yeah,
And they're like, yeah,
8 and
which will
9.
look just like a 739. They'll have no, the geeks will know, we will
Yeah.
know, and we will actually go book it to get it. But the average person,
So,
so that's why I don't think it makes sense. I think they could use the money to do
but I
something.
think the pilots is a good idea. It's an excellent idea.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
So,
yeah. All right. Enough of Boeing
and
and
not a
their.
bad gig, right? For 35 days,
No,
especially in this era of so many laid off pilots.
yeah, I guess
You
not
have
at
to have
all.
experience on
Yeah,
Boeing aircraft, of course.
yeah, which makes sense. I guess that's
So,
yeah. That part is not a bad deal. Um.
but
All right. So let's jump to some miscellaneous stuff that we have in the queue. Um. All right. I'm going to jump a little bit since we've been talking about Boeing. So you have a story that Boeing joins the upcycling trend, as does Delta.
this was news to me. I had no idea this was happening.
Uh-huh.
And this was in an article in a journal called Interesting Engineering that I'd never even heard of.
Okay.
And this was in the middle of December. And what Boeing is doing is they have this aviation store in Seattle. And I didn't realize that they have this luxury aviation store currently as well. And what they are doing is following this upcycling trend that Lufthansa and so many other carriers are doing as well. So they are selling furniture from retired plane parts. And the thing about it is that these are not cheap. From the pictures I've seen, they're a little bit hideous, honestly. And I know a lot of people will contest that. But if you've seen some of the pictures, they are only for aviation geeks because the prices of these, the cheapest one is 5,500 US dollars.
And what are they selling?
And hold on, the most expensive is 19,500, which is an F4 Phantom, which is a McDonnell Douglas plane that has long been retired, but is still flying with Iran and I believe Japan and perhaps a few other countries. And the tagline is go from 0 to Mach 2 without leaving your seat. That thing is 19,500. So
Oh,
it
so
really looks like an ejection seat, but it's sort of been prettied up a little bit to fit in with, let's say, your design motif in your living room.
oh, the gamers will eat that up, Kushrow.
You think so?
Yes. Have you
But they
seen
make
these
that much
gamer?
money? They
Have you
make that
seen
much
these
money to
gaming
be able
seats?
to afford
Yeah.
19,000 US dollars on one chair?
Kushrow, you and I think about money differently. There's a lot of people around there that has all this money sitting around doing nothing
So,
with. Gaming
so
chairs are like, well, they're not too expensive. They're like $500 and
yeah, but the hideous one that I saw was again, that's purely subjective opinion, was a
uh-huh.
wine bar, which is really a table, a glass top table made from the engine core of a JT8D engine,
Okay,
which
that's not
was
bad.
the I think the 737-200 and 100. So it really, really looks like it came straight off an aircraft, and that exactly is the look that Boeing is going for. So they've also had a lot of tables made out of aircraft fuselages.
Yeah,
So I guess I think it's good because it prevents all this from being trashed.
yeah.
And then I found out that Delta was doing something similar, not exactly with aircraft parts, but with their uniforms. They've they're in collaboration with a company called Looped Works, which is LOOPT
Mm-hmm.
works.com/Delta. And they're working with old aircraft leather seats and uniforms to create backpacks, travel kits, passport covers, bags, and all sorts of other travel paraphernalia. And again, I think this is great. It prevents it going into a landfill. And if geeks are willing to buy it, why not?
Yeah, people do spend quite a bit of money on that. So they won't have any issues. I mean, look at when what was it? The British Airways did the stuff with the
Yes,
747s. Yeah,
yes.
people live for this kind of stuff, Kusha. They'll have no
So
problems. And like those seats are like, $1,500 for one of those seats, and people are buying them for those gamer seats.
20,000, try 20,000,
Yeah, but
almost.
but if you're a geek and you want to make your kid happy, people do it.
But
Obviously, there's a
airline geeks make
yeah.
that much money?
Well, but
We're
uh,
supposed to be poor.
the airline geeks that you know are poor, Kusha.
Yes, that is true.
You need to improve your airline geek.
And my social standing.
Yeah,
But that's not going to happen.
Yes, Kushrow, you need to get a little better at
So
that. That is so funny. Hold on. Where am I? That's funny. Wait, I lost the window I had. Um, yeah, no, like I said, I have a bunch of people who actually have these things in their living room. So
you
yeah,
do know someone?
uh-huh. Yeah, we have a mutual friend who have one. He just showed them online. He has a first class seats on one of these airplanes. He has a
Really?
yeah. And another one of our mutual friend also has some in his he had it in his basement when he was living here in Houston. So
Wow. Okay.
well, not his basement, but his downstairs. So yeah, there are lots of people who have these
Huh.
yeah. Yeah, there's lots of people out there, Kusha. People are odd.
Well, not to themselves, right? And it's
uh
their own money.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we
But you know,
hope.
if you can't enjoy your own money, why bother, right?
Very
So
true.
yeah, it's not bad.
So
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right. So, we've been talking about IATA trying to create a way to make it easier for us to, I guess, keep all our health information together, and they're creating something called a travel pass. Tell us more about that.
this, again, I thought was a very interesting article off the
Hmm.
IATA website. And what they are doing via an Android and an iPhone app is to create a portal to ensure that travel in the post COVID era is as smooth and streamlined as possible. They are trying to create, as I said, a comprehensive system where everything is stored in one location,
Right.
be it the procedures that you are required to conform to when you travel internationally, to storing your passport details for a digital passport, to being a repository for your immunizations, your vaccination proof, and also as a means to um, provide this information to authorities at the airport and also
Okay.
for biometric purposes. Now, was it last week that we talked about the Star Alliance bid to do something similar?
Yes, we
So,
did.
what was redeeming here is to hear that the IATA app is going to be able to, what is the word, to be able to incorporate data from other equivalent apps as well. And I'm wondering why, established airline authorities like IATA, for instance, and all the Star Alliance or whoever else, not combine their efforts to create one app. But of course, that's
Because they don't want to share the data that way. It's
yes,
stupid. It's never about us, it's about them, right?
right. So this is as I said, a very comprehensive app, and it's going to be released in the first quarter of 2021. So it's been developed in 4 independent modules. As I mentioned earlier, the first one is um, a register for all the regulatory entry requirements and the labs and the test centers.
Hmm.
And this is based on the well-established Dymatic, I think that's the way it's pronounced,
Yeah, thematic.
system
Yeah.
that's been in place for, I believe, decades.
Mm-hmm.
There's also going to be a verified location for storing your certificates based on the yellow fever certificate, which is, I believe, called the yellow card, which
It
is
is the yellow
probably
card. Yep, I
the
have one of
most
those.
common current requirement from
Mm-hmm.
4 countries. You can also store your um, COVID vaccination and all testing status in that app. It's going to be a digital ID as well, so it can function as a substitute for your passport if you don't have one, and the ability for passenger to share these test results via your mobile device. What IATA did stress is that everything is going to be stored on your iPhone. There's going to be no central database where any of your data will be located indefinitely. So it is entirely subjective for you to decide what sort of information you're willing to release. Now, given that you're signing up for this, I would expect people to realize that they do have to share some of their personal and private information if they want to, for instance, enable biometric processing from check-in to boarding of an aircraft. So the first thing they summarize this very concisely in 6 steps. I'm going to go through this fairly fast.
Okay.
You download this free IATA travel pass app. You take a selfie with a smartphone, and again, this was news to me, that you complete a liveness test. Have you ever heard of this? So a liveness test. This is to ensure that the person who is downloading the app is actually the same person and not someone else.
Makes sense.
So you have to follow instructions from your phone and move your head, close your eyes, and things like that in front of the camera to ensure that this is you and not some imposter.
Right.
Who's trying to steal your information. Then what you have to do is you have to scan the last 2 lines on your picture page, which is at the bottom of your passport photo page. And then also scan the data chip on your passport as instructed by the phone. This is the part I'm not quite sure about, because I'm not sure how scanning the chip will do anything, but clearly IATA knows more than I do. So that constitutes your digital ID together with your selfie. Then what you do is, well, the app will then verify that the passport holder and the phone owner are the same person and that the passport is untempered. And then your verified digital travel credentials will be stored and can be used, as I said, as a biometric aid when you check in at the airport and clear security and board an aircraft. Now, how many airports will be compliant with this requirement is another story.
It'll take a while.
It'll take a while, but this is all based on September 2020 IATA survey that concluded that 70% of passengers had concerns about handing their travel documents to airline agents, security staff, or government officials. 85% of these same people said touchless procedures would make them feel safer while traveling, and 44% were willing to share their personal data to enable touchless processes, which is significantly up from 30% of passengers who said this in June. So between June and September, there was a 14 percentage point rise in people becoming more comfortable with sharing their personal data.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And this app will also be able to incorporate information from other competing products.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
This has all been, sorry, I keep interrupting. It's all been worked out with the International Civil Aviation Organization as well, the ICAO. So these are very, very well-established and very commonly used systems in place that will now be summarized in an easy-to-handle app.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I mean,
that they foresee as the future of travel, at least in the near to mid future.
Yeah, because I hate walking around with that yellow card, which is in tatters right now.
Okay.
Because the last time I got yellow fever was when I went to Ghana. I think it was 2014, maybe.
I see.
Yeah, so I still have my yellow card inside my passport whenever I travel. So which is why when people are making such a big deal about all these documentation and stuff, I'm like, we take vaccines today, so it's not a big deal.
But the thing is that the labs and the testing centers are all going to have to ensure that their systems are capable of transmitting this information accurately and correctly to these phones and
Yeah.
apps, right?
Well, it never goes to, it'll go up to it'll go to like a central place is where the data will go,
No, it will
and then
not.
yeah, it
Because
has to.
that's what IATA is stressing, that there will be no central data repository whatsoever.
So it's just going straight. Yeah, but it has to go somewhere.
Well, it's going to go straight to your phone, and that will be the only location where it will be stored.
Well, that doesn't
The
make any
only.
sense though, because then so what
Well,
if
I
somebody?
think it reassures passengers that they do not have any of their information on any public domain, for instance.
That's stupid.
Why?
Because you ever heard of Clear?
Yes.
Clear has all my data on a public server. Well, it's private, but it's sitting out there on a
Okay.
server. So I mean, every time I go to the airport and do the scan thing, the Homeland Security has my data out there on a private
Right. But
server.
even for global entry, right? We
Yes.
agree to that. We agree
Yeah.
to that.
So why can't we do that for the travel app? It's no big deal.
Because remember, the EU has much, much stricter privacy constraints than, let's say, we in the US have. Even though we're pretty
Uh,
strict here, the
yeah,
EU is much stricter.
but the EU we still have data that's transmitted because we have Nexus. So Nexus is the one in Amsterdam. That's the system that's like global entry, but
Okay.
it's
I thought
yeah.
that was Canada,
Sorry, it's
but I
not
could be
it.
wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Nexus is Canada. It's called
I know what you mean, though.
Pervium, I think is what it's called.
Yes, yes, you're right.
Yeah. So they have that. I'm just trying to think of who else has. There's a lot of these services that are out there
Okay.
with our data kicking around. So I don't
But give
understand why.
credit to IATA for doing this. I
No,
mean,
no,
I think it'll be a long while before everything is streamlined,
it
but they have to
it
start
makes
somewhere.
sense. But saying that I'm sending it straight to your phone because we don't want to store the data out there, you're already storing my data because all these
Well,
countries have
apparently
my
not
passport
anymore, right?
data. Yeah,
Because they
and they send
stress
my
this.
data. They send my data every time I check in. They
Huh.
send my data to another airline. To another government. So I don't really buy what they're trying to say. Maybe they'll explain that more. And I think transmitting it directly to my phone is kind of weird.
Why?
Well, how do I know it's safe? It's sitting in my phone, but how do I know it's
Right.
safe?
Well, isn't that your responsibility?
Yeah, but what? And one of the things, excuse me, is that people make such a big deal about this, and every day, like, I can use my phone to buy stuff,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
The
then
thing is that,
I'm not worried about that, but I'm worried about my privacy information. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah, but so what happens if you remember all your information is here? What happens if you lose your phone overseas?
Right, you're a host. You can't leave, which is why it's stupid. You get to the airport and go, I'm sorry, I lost my phone. Oh, wait, let me put my biometric in. Oh, there's nothing. I don't know who you are because you don't have my phone in your hand. This is why it doesn't make any sense.
So,
Yeah. I don't know.
but
And
very interesting article though.
yeah, it's a little odd. All right, well let's jump on to the next one. Where are we?
I think we have about two more topics, right?
Yeah.
And they're both centered around the UK.
Yes. Well, we actually have an extra one. Uh, um, so this one was about COVID testing because a lot more airports are getting COVID testing done.
Yes.
And Heathrow is the
Is now
what
online as the largest private COVID testing facility in the UK.
interesting.
They have partnered with this company called Express Test, and they have opened 24 lanes of testing at the N4 car park, which is just off Bath Road, which is parallel to the runways north of London Heathrow Airport.
Mm-hmm.
It's open 365 days a year from 8 a.m. till 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. With Express Test. They have 2 on-site labs capable of processing 5,000 tests a day, with results typically the next day. And they're initially offering only PCR tests, which are the standard, and can be used by departing passengers to satisfy travel requirements of their destinations. They're charging £80 for passengers, which is about 110 US dollars, £60 for Heathrow staff, which is about 80 US dollars, and £99 for anyone in the general public, which is about 135 US dollars. All your negative tests will be mailed, as they call it, a fit to fly certificate that will be authorized by a doctor, but the passengers will be responsible to verify that this is sufficient documentation for their destination requirements and something that will be accepted by travel authorities, which I think is fair. You can book this for an appointment at expresstest.co.uk, and you will be sent a QR code that you have to take along with you, together with your passport or any sort of ID. So, again,
Yeah,
I thought this was
but it's
something
not
worth
cheap,
mentioning.
right?
It's not cheap,
It's
but
not
nothing
cheap.
is, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
not
not
cheap because
outrageous either.
I did see
And Pittsburgh has actually started something very similar.
yeah, I've been updating if you go to travelrestrictionsinfo.com. I've been adding information about the airports and the airlines and the countries that has COVID information, and I found out about the testing at Heathrow, and I believe, is it Gatwick?
It's currently operating at Edinburgh and Gatwick, but
Yeah,
nothing as large as this.
Yeah, has it as well. So
Yes.
it makes sense. We are gonna just have to test people at the airports. That's
Yep.
just what we that's just what we're gonna have to do. Now, I wonder, how do they test people if you're in transit, or is it just departing and
No,
arriving?
why would it be in transit? If you're in transit, you better have done your homework before, right?
Yeah, but then you're mixing with all those people, right? So it's kind of like I took the thing before, the test before, and I took
Yeah.
it, and now I get to Heathrow, and now I mix with other people who.
Plus, you've exposed yourself on the plane as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So where does it end?
right. So it's kind of
Where does it?
yeah.
You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's kind of funky. All right. So speaking of Heathrow, um, oh my goodness, they're doing the third runway.
Well, as of now, this is once again an on again, off again project.
Yeah.
So it's no secret that Heathrow is really, really capacity constrained.
Yep.
And they are slowly but surely.
Was.
But it will be back to the future.
It will be.
They are losing ground to airports in Europe without capacity constraints, like Paris and Amsterdam. So what they have wanted to do for the longest time is create a third runway. And this has unleashed a storm among environmentalists, claiming that it is entirely the wrong thing to do. And long story short, after being passed a few years ago, the resolution, it was blocked by the Court of Appeal of the High Court of England and Wales last year on environmental grounds. And the government agreed not to contest the decision.
Yeah.
Heathrow appealed. And on December 16th, the Supreme Court of the UK, which is the highest judicial authority there, they decreed that Heathrow was justified in going ahead with plans for a third runway.
It's about time.
Right. So now it would allow the airport to seek new planning permissions for infrastructure development.
Right.
Now, the government of Boris Johnson has been not very supportive because a lot of his constituents live in the Heathrow adjacent areas, and that requires uprooting them. But they have vowed not to contest this decision. So this would essentially allow Heathrow to compete against all these other airports in mainland Europe, and allow 700 additional flights to land at Heathrow every day. And of course, the environmentalists have denounced it as reckless, irresponsible, and a betrayal of our children's future.
Okay.
So,
I don't know what to tell you.
they would do that, right?
Yeah, it's expected.
So I was curious about how many passengers go through the big European hubs. Heathrow in 2019 led the pack with almost 81 million passengers. Paris, de Gaulle was at 76 million. Amsterdam, Schiphol was at 72 million passengers. Frankfurt was almost 71. And then surprisingly, Madrid was next at about 62 million.
Okay,
So,
makes sense. So
yeah.
then so Heathrow is already leading. They don't need a new runway then.
No, they are slipping. I think Paris and Amsterdam are gaining the most traffic.
Well, it's because it's London, right? Everybody wants to go to London. I mean, it's the most popular European
But remember, it's
city.
not going to be that easy anymore now that the UK is out of the EU, because now travelers to UK will have to undergo additional testing. They need entry documents and all that they didn't need before.
Yeah, but that's no
also
different.
going to I think it will impact travel.
Yeah, but do you think it's different? I don't. Because even if I'm just transiting though, I don't. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like talking about the max, right? Where we say that people know what they're doing. People connect over London because that's where the airline routing is, right?
Connecting is an entirely different thing, right?
Yeah, but
that's not really the issue.
But even arriving, people go to London because they want to go to London, right? Airline employees don't go to London because they don't want to pay the departure tax.
Right.
But that's a very small number of people.
Right.
And it's
actually, no longer going to be as easy for Europeans to hop across to the UK.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, when now that the UK is not a part, but I don't think it'll be a big deal.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to move all those people in the areas surrounding Heathrow. But
no, that would be a bigger issue because I'm trying to think of where they're going to put that runway.
It's going to be
it's going to be parallel to the two that's there now?
No, it's going to be perpendicular. So
which means it's going to be right at the end at
near T5. So it's going to be by that lake pond or whatever you call it.
Oh, on the other side. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes,
got you. Okay,
on
so
the
it's
west side
okay.
of
So
Heathrow,
it won't affect Myrtle Avenue, which is the other side. So it's on the other side. Okay, it's on the
which
T
is, no,
Myrtle
it
Ave.
will be beyond T5.
Yeah, Myrtle Avenue is the side where you see when you see the guys show planes landing at Heathrow, over coming over the houses. That's
Okay,
Myrtle
no,
Avenue.
that's near the in the
That's the
direction
other
of
side.
the BA engineering.
Yeah, that's the
What
complete
is that
opposite
that
side.
tube station?
Uh-huh.
I forget.
Yeah, that
The
tube
last
station.
station before.
Yeah, but
No, it's on the other side.
so it's the side where they have that big lake, like you're saying.
Yes. And it's
That's
going to be like Amsterdam. I think it's called the Is it called the Polder Barn? You know, where you have to go through fields
yeah,
of
yeah.
crops to get to that runway. So it'll be something like that.
Oh, okay. So that'll be interesting. That's a
Yeah.
huge project. Good luck.
Huge. Plus, moving all those people who are going to demand
So Kusha, we'll be dead and
huge
gone.
compensation. I
We'll be
hope
dead and
not,
gone
though. I hope not.
before they open that runway.
I hope not. I mean, I'm a big environmentalist, but this I do want to see.
Yeah, that's gonna be that won't be my lifetime. That's gonna take such a long time to get done. Uh,
Yep.
because they haven't even started yet. They haven't even
No,
bought the land yet. And you know
but
how
they've
long
been
that's gonna
tied up
take.
in lawsuits until now.
Yeah. So,
So,
but there's gonna be one guy who doesn't want to sell, and his house is at the end of the
yes,
runway.
unless the government declares eminent domain, right? Because they
Yeah,
can do that in Europe. I mean, in the
yeah,
rest of the world, I should say.
that'll be interesting. You're taking off, and this one guy is just looking at you the whole time. Because
You know they're going to be more than that, just that one guy.
oh, that'd be so funny. There is a runway in yeah, I think it's somewhere in the Caribbean, it might be Grenada, where like somebody's house is right on the edge of the
Is
runway.
that right?
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about it. You can actually go there and hang out and watch planes. Um, yeah, it might be. It might be Grenada. It's one of those Caribbean islands.
But
Funny. All right, we have one more story.
we
This is
do.
yeah, this is about the airline mergers.
Oh,
To
so we
do
are including that.
yeah, we might as well.
So this is
Yeah,
an article that I read on Yahoo. I'm not sure I entirely believe it,
yeah.
but
It was
it was
far-fetched,
written
but
very
made some
far-fetched.
sense.
It was
Yeah,
interesting. We discussed it
yeah.
before, and it was written by someone called Brian Sozzi, who is an editor at large of Yahoo Finance and a co-host of Yahoo Finance.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's a TV show, which I didn't know. But he has predicted that although no big US carrier is in any imminent danger of going bankrupt, we are likely to see a merger or a group of mergers in 2021 or in the near future.
Hmm.
One he brought up was United and JetBlue, which again, I'm not sure I really buy that, given the dramatic differences in culture between the two airlines. And the other one he said was between Allegiant, Frontier, and Spirit. Together, they have 3% of the US market share. But together, as one airline, they could prove formidable. Again, I really don't see that happening, but things may change because right now, valuation of airlines is really pretty low. Plus,
Yeah.
airlines do not have the money for any sort of cash transactions. But then again, if, as they say, CFOs have the guts to do it, this would be the time to go through with it.
Yeah, I thought it was
But
interesting, um, but we've seen other crazy things happen, right? So
that's true. Yes.
um,
Yes. So
when when and I
he
think we
also
talked.
thinks that airlines may not have a choice
Hmm,
but to merge. But I don't think JetBlue and United are in that situation yet.
Well, the United would get another hub at JFK, and they'd have to
And see, I don't see that working at
what
all.
they're going to do with Newark. And I know
Right.
they'd never leave Newark because they're probably getting such a good real estate deal on Newark, so
Right.
they're not going anywhere.
So,
Yeah, and
but
people,
we will find out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, people are now accustomed to going to Newark from Manhattan. It's not a big deal.
Right. And it also depends on where these people are traveling, right?
Hmm.
Because certain, um, I guess, ethnicities, they live in different parts of New York, right?
Well,
A lot of
right. Yeah,
that's one reason why TAP Portugal flies only to Newark and not to JFK.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be
So
interesting. I mean, of course, Newark is still gonna be there, and so even if United merges with JetBlue, maybe they'll do an airline and an airline.
what was it called? Dead.
Yeah.
Previous. I don't see that happening.
No.
I think people would be very, very upset.
And JetBlue has spent so much money
Right.
investing
Building up their own brand
in
identity.
New York. I mean, they've single-handedly made JFK into
Yeah.
someplace that's
A
more,
domestic
yeah,
hub, because it's huge internationally, but it wasn't so much domestically.
yeah. I mean,
So
well, I mean, I guess that would stop JetBlue from doing the international thing, because
well,
United already has international, and they don't need to do any more international.
I don't know if
Um,
they can do that, but
yeah, it would really disrupt everything, and more people would be out of jobs,
yeah,
because there is quite a bit of overlap in some of the cities that they serve.
absolutely there is. Yep.
It's like LA, and yeah, it would be interesting. But then we get to fly,
So,
we'd get to fly Mint for not much money. The selfish side comes in. When I read that, though, I didn't realize that the percentage of the Spirit's Allegiant,
I
and
know. I thought it was more.
I thought it was more. I was like, really? That's
Yeah.
all? That seemed
So
that seemed really tiny. It doesn't seem that way because those airlines are everywhere, right?
right. And they all got Airbus aircraft, which of course doesn't mean much because most
Yeah,
airlines
yeah.
now have Airbus planes.
I still haven't flown Spirit or Allegiant.
I haven't
Um,
heard any of those three.
yeah,
There's no opportunity to really.
yeah. I flew Frontier a long, long, long time ago. I
So,
haven't flown them in a while.
but anyway, so we will see what happens here.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm thinking I should, you can buy two seats on a plane. So I think I should buy I'll buy a middle seat and the window seat. Um, and then actually, Kusha, we could go. We could do that. You could buy the aisle. I'll buy the window, and then we'll split the middle. So this way we get a middle seat open.
And what would I use for money?
Dude, see, okay, we need a sponsor. So if anyone's listening, you guys need to sponsor us to go do that and figure all that stuff out.
But anyway, I hope we've stuck to our 45-ish minute deadline.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah, it's the time is showing 2 hours and 19 minutes. I think we actually did an hour and 20 minutes.
for this episode,
Yeah, no, it's probably about 30
that
minutes.
would not be good at all.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But
We haven't gotten any complaints yet about how long the episodes are, and people. I think somebody sent some feedback on. Let's see what they said. This was actually quite interesting. Hang on one second, let me find it.
we should have probably done this before going live, right?
No, because it's related to the episode. They say that they're inspired by listening to episode 52.
Inspired? Really?
Yeah. And I think that's the episode where we're talking about Canada not knowing whether they should have Fahrenheit or Celsius.
We did talk about that.
Yeah, we did in that episode. I don't know how it came up. I haven't gone back and listened, but I'm pretty much sure that's what it was. So he says, if we're talking about the weather, temperatures throughout Canada are always presented in Celsius, and appropriately, our purchased in Canada cars display a temperature in Celsius, both external and internal temperatures. Not surprisingly, the heating in our homes is in Celsius. That being said, it seems that everyone we know has a stove that is set in Fahrenheit, plus cookbooks here are usually use Fahrenheit.
But it's also in the UK, right? Because they're metric and they have everything in miles.
Right, it's very weird. So packaging for things such as frozen pizza will display instructions in Fahrenheit and Celsius. Our stove and our refrigerator were bought new as part of a matching set. It's Frigidaire. The stove is in Fahrenheit, but the fridge is in Celsius.
This
I
person is
also,
really into this.
I
It has
know, I also know that.
absolutely nothing to do with aviation.
Well, but because we were talking about how Canada uses Celsius whenever they feel like,
Okay.
and Fahrenheit whenever they feel like, and so when he listened to the episode, he's kind of telling us how things are in Canada, and this is why it's so confusing. So then he says,
Yeah.
I also know that folks here who have heaters for their pools have those things in Fahrenheit. Maybe one day the US will join the rest of the world and Fahrenheit will finally become a thing of the past.
Not going to happen. Not in my lifetime.
I know, it's funny. Um, oh, and we were talking about meal vouchers, and I think that was an episode where we said
Oh,
uh,
yeah. United is going digital,
digital, right? And
or
I
they
was
have
saying
gone.
they should make it so that the meal is a part of the bill and they could just order the meal. So he says, if an airline puts up a passenger in a hotel, the airline has to issue a meal voucher. If not, the passenger will order a caviar lobster champagne combo and expect the airline to pay for it.
He's probably right.
He is probably right about that. But no, if you guys have any feedback at all, just send us a note. And he also had me realize that I don't have a podcast link from the homepage, and so we're gonna work on putting that out there. But
Okay.
so I think that was the last story that we had then, Kusha.
Okay.
All right, cool. So you guys know where to find us. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcast. We're also on what's the other one? Apple. Now, apparently, if you don't get ratings on Apple, then nobody knows we exist. Although we have like hundreds and thousands of downloads, but we don't have much of our Apple because I think most of the readers and listeners to this podcast actually downloaded from the website, which is very cool. So if you're on, we're also on Stitcher and Spotify. So if you're on any of these, you can download and listen and let us know what you think. Send us comments via email or there's a
Email, what's
voice
the
thing.
address?
It's feedback@passrider.com, or just click on passrider.com and do it from there. And we're at passrider.com/WHIT. And we're also on Buzzsprout, and Cushrow thinks that's a funky name. But this is Kerwin and my buddy,
Cushrow.
and we are signing off from episode 61 on Saturday, January 9th. All right,
Thank you
talk.
for listening.
Yep.